Hey guys, welcome back to Wentworth Life and welcome back to another Prisoner review. In this video I am going to be reviewing Prisoner Cell Block H episode 23, Pushed Too Far. Okay, so things have been heating up and Erica, she's been put in an embarrassing situation because basically her husband arrives at Wentworth to visit Barbara. Now, Barbara tells him a load of porkies saying that Erica has it in for her and leaves out the part about smuggling in drugs. So when Erica's husband Michael comes to see her in the governor's office, we see a very different side to Erica, a more slightly vulnerable side, which is interesting to watch. Of course, Erica fills him in on how Barbara has really been behaving, which of course ends up shocking him. Now, Erica's sudden husband arrival isn't the only thing on Erica's mind. Erica finds out that it was Vera who told the VJ that Barbara is her niece. Oof, what a bitch. And when Erica questions her, Vera denies that she insinuated that Erica was involved in any form of the drugs, but Erica knows far too well that Vera is definitely after her job. Lynn Warner seems to be heading back onto the right path when she makes up with her dad, which is really nice to see. And her dad speaks to one of his old army mates who now runs a garden nursery, who ends up agreeing to let Lynn work there in the days if she's allowed to have work experience from the prison. So Lynn, she goes to trial and she ends up receiving 12 months for her part in the robbery with Doug, and she seems to have left behind that tough new image that she was using with Doreen, which I'm really glad. I really don't think that the tough look, really worked on Lynn. She looked really silly, let's put it that way. I bet B was having a good old giggle to herself. But Doreen was still playing the heavy in this episode, but she seemed to be only concentrating on Barbara Davidson when she ended up stealing her fags, and then she was telling Barbara to give the rest from her cell. But when Barbara doesn't give them all to Doreen, Barbara ends up in a fight with Doreen when Doreen throws a bucket of water over Barbara's head, which I will admit I did find a little bit hilarious. Barbara jumps up and they both end up grappling around on the floor until Vera stops them, and even B doesn't seem interested in getting involved because B hates drug pushers, which means she hates Barbara. She's just standing back and letting Doreen do whatever the hell she wants, and Vera is also putting on the pressure on Barbara, and things start to take its toll on her and she does end up getting pushed too far. So later on, when Lynn tries to open her cell door, she finds that Barbara has barricaded herself into the cell. So Lynn ends up calling Vera, and then Vera threatens to go in, but then Barbara, she pours gasoline all over her things and threatens to burn herself and the whole prison down. Like, what the hell? I can remember when I first saw this episode and this particular scene, I was just not expecting it. Vera telephones Erica, who is out having dinner with her husband, or is it her ex-husband? I'm not sure. I'm sure he's referred to as her husband in this episode. Anyway, who cares? Erica comes back to the prison and Vera tells her what's happened, but Erica thinks that her niece is just looking for attention and tells Vera that they'll just have to leave her where she is and she'll come out when she's good and hungry. And the episode ends with Barbara just sitting in the cell looking completely broken. And I mean, is Barbara really bluffing? Will Erica regret this decision? Are we going to see a barbecued Barbara? Well, we'll just have to wait for the next episode. But jumping over to Karen now, as her retrial is just around the corner and Steve Wilson is concerned that she doesn't stand a good chance, at the moment. So he goes to see Karen's mother to ask her some questions because he thinks, that she would make a good character reference. And when he does find her, he asks her some questions, and we learn that she did know what Wayne was doing to Karen. He knew that he was hitting her, but she pretty much just ignored it and basically used the excuse that all marriages have its problem. Like, oh god, what the hell? Oh dear, and Karen's mum, she doesn't seem interested in being a character reference until Steve tells her that she was pregnant and that Wayne forced her to have an abortion. Now this completely stops Karen's mum in her tracks, and you know, at first she refuses to believe it, but she ends up going into the prison to visit Karen and basically asks her. But Karen isn't pleased to see her at all and tells her that she doesn't need her help, and she ends up storming out of the visitor's room. Now, I've got a feeling that Karen's mum could actually be quite an important witness. Let's just hope that Karen sees the light. Catherine, Robert and B were very friendly with each other in the most part of this episode. Catherine was telling B all about her daughter, Sarah, and B was also talking about Debbie. And then there's an interesting scene where B tells Catherine about Debbie's death and the fact that Vera, the bitch, wouldn't let B go to the funeral. And the way B says it, it's so threatening and sinister, and Vera walks into the cell as B is saying it. B then turns around and looks at Vera, and you know, if looks could kill, Vera would be 6 feet under by now. This little scene just gave me like a B/Joan Ferguson vibe. I know Vera isn't as bad as Joan Ferguson, but you know, B and Vera's hatred for each other may not be on the same level as Joan Ferguson, but for a split moment there, I definitely got these vibes. Sarah comes in to see her mum for a visit, but Catherine can tell that things are definitely falling apart at home. And Ken, he basically wants to send Sarah off to live with some other relatives, and Sarah doesn't want to go. Now, I think the worrying part here is when Sarah says to her mum that she hitchhiked a lift to the prison. Like, would she really do that after what happened to her? Really? This of course alarms Catherine and she gets worried, and I'm wondering whether if the writers were kind of doing a similar storyline of what happened to B when B first came into prison, doing sort of like a little prequel of B, but you know, using the Catherine and Sarah Roberts storyline. I can honestly see the similarities. Let's just hope Sarah doesn't go the same way as Debbie. So all in all, not a bad episode and quite a good little cliffhanger too, with Barbara threatening to burn, you know, the place down. I think my favourite moment has to be Doreen and Barbara's fight scene. You just gotta love a good fight. And my least favourite moment would have to be Karen's mum just being a basic bitch and running away from her daughter. Once again, what is it with the mothers in this show? Anyway, that's all of my thoughts on this episode. Now let's hear some of yours. What were you enjoying most around this era of Prisoner? And let me know if you thought that Barbara was really going to set herself alight when you first saw it. Let me know everything in the comments box below. Okay then guys, well thank you all for watching. The next video is just around the corner, so I will see you all again very soon. Bye guys.